Jai.
Grateful to be here.
Nanda Patni was telling me today she's in Santa Cruz and she had the opportunity to associate with our godbrother who we know as Pancha Dravida Prabhu, but who got the sannyas name Janardhan Maharaj. And so
Jai,
I asked her if she could please invite him. I don't know if she'll see him again, but did you know Pancha Dravida Prabhu, Acyutananda Prabhu?
Oh, yes.
Were you pals with him?
Yeah.
Okay. So there won't be any sparks flying if we invite him to come and join you.
Sure. Good sparks.
Good sparks.
Spiritual sparks.
Kiran, Vishwanath Chakravarti writes 3 books. The Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu Bindu, the drop of the ocean, and Brihad Bhagavat Tamrita Kana, a piece of that, and Ujjwal Nilamani Kiran, a spark of the Ujjwala Nilamani.
Beautiful.
In the very beginning, though, and I think it was in Mayapur, people saw Pancha Dravida Brahmachari, and he had asked Prabhupada how to make advancement, and if I can't do proper chanting or this or that, Prabhupada said, well, then plow. The next day, he was seen behind an ox pushing a plow. Oh, yeah. I'm getting shivers now. That he said, I'm doing it. I'm going to do it. Prabhupada told me I got a plow, and he took a plow and did it.
Oh, there's an old photo of Jayapataka Swami. He's very, very skinny and tall, and he is also behind the plow.
Oh,
in the Krishna consciousness is
I'm going to get a plow. You know,
yeah, we all should get a plow.
Yes, everybody.
Prabhupada once said that PhD means plow department, that the scientists would be contributing more if they would go in the field and produce some food with the plow than all the nonsense they do with their PhDs.
Seriously.
Yeah, I had a little note about PhD. Let's say you read Einstein's book, Relativity, and you've memorized it, and then you start calling yourself a PhD, and someone asks you, who gave you PhD? And you say, Einstein. You know, you can't do that. Can't say that.
Similarly,
draw your own conclusions. So what we were talking about last time about initiators and shiksha gurus and dikshas and
Nanda Patni, could you please invite Janardhan Maharaj, give him the information and tell him that, can I say Acyutananda Prabhu that you've personally requested him to join us?
Yes, but Monday I may not be on because next to in Loka Guru's side of the house, they're going to have a big ladies event. 40 to 60 they're going to be loud. They're going to be kirtan, and they're going to be louder when they serve prasadam. So that sound may come in here. I don't know if it's going to interfere. If it does, I'm going to have to.
You could try. You could use headphones also.
Okay, will you hear me with the headphones speaking?
Depends how loud the ladies are.
Well, do the headphones need a microphone?
But Ryan, do you have what do you think?
I have these, and I have with a mic.
I would
the sound may get into the microphone too.
I mean, it might get in, but you'll see if it doesn't work.
But do I need the mic?
You can always mute it when you're not speaking.
Right.
Okay. If you use the headphones, it would be best to use the ones with the microphone, so that way it's closer to your mouth when you talk. It might cut out the sound in the background.
Okay.
Doesn't Bhakti Connor look like he just arrived from Vaikuntha with his freshly shaved head?
Totally, man.
Yo.
Brings back the old brahmachari memories. Fantastic. Love it.
Last time he looked like he came down from the Himalayas. He had a head of matted hair.
Who comes down from Vaikuntha?
Bhakti Connor, remember last time he was a hairy
How
Krishna.
do you come down from Vaikuntha?
Oh, you don't.
Oh, let's talk about that.
Got a couple of hours?
Yeah. So yeah, I'm very curious to hear your view, Acyutananda, because we hear
Not my view, it is Prabhupada's view.
Yeah.
And it's not. And first of all, the last instruction was do not discuss this.
right. Okay.
Next question.
Great. Fantastic. So that's perfect.
Do not discuss it. Don't debate it. Don't speculate on it.
So tell me about that instruction.
Don't argue about it.
No, that's brilliant. I love it because it is.
Are you going to go on talking while I'm talking? This is not working out.
I want to just
say there a
that.
delay? Is there maybe a delay in the thing?
I want to say this. Let me just interject and say I want to hear that you said Prabhupada's last instruction. Can you give me some context from that and what he said in that regard? That's what
we asked him, and he said it to us. Somebody's knocking.
Oh my God!
Hi, prasadam delivered right to the door.
Help me eat this. Can you help me eat this? Somebody just brought me.
Wow,
It's fantastic looking.
Yeah.
Wait. Hello. Did you?
Yep.
The benefits of living in Acyutananda, New Raman Reiki.
Did you get a picture?
Do you get prasadam delivered to your door too, by the Ryan Prabhu?
No, I haven't gotten to that level yet. I'm still you get out the block here.
And this is the original picture that Prabhupada brought. And the original post to print is at Ripanuga's house. Yeah, I'm on a conference call.
Nanda Patni Prabhu, you just have to copy and paste the information I gave you if you can get Pancha.
Yeah, I will. I'm seeing him tomorrow because Siddhanta's coming up, and I was asking him about that.
Nice.
And he had said that in the early years he had written a lot of his memories, but that he didn't sort of want to go through it that way, and that he wanted to relate his experiences with Srila Prabhupada directly to the philosophy more. So it's kind of interesting. We had a tremendous talk, about a lot of things. So it was very nice today.
Yeah, I'd love to have him on board and have him and Acyutananda Prabhu.
I'll definitely ask him. I mean, you probably know that they've been in a bit of a shock as their Acharya passed away.
Govinda Maharaj passed away?
No. He was younger. I think he was called Acharya, right? Maharaj. Yeah.
Acharya. Yeah.
And I think everybody is in a bit of a, I can't think of the word, but a bit of a shambles, because it's come so incredibly unexpectedly. It literally came overnight. He got COVID, and my understanding was he had a heart attack the following night or something. So the Maharaj is actually spending a ton of time on Zoom with India and England and all parts beyond at the moment.
Damage control, kind of.
Yeah. Because it only happened about 3 weeks ago.
I see.
So he's actually taking a very leading role in that.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but I'll ask him. We're becoming, closer. Yeah.
Tell him for years I've been trying to track him down to invite him to our Sangha, and now we're 881 Prabhupada disciples, but it's not complete without him.
All right.
All right. Personal invitation.
One can only but try.
Yes.
No, I want to, if it's all right, just go back to Acyutananda Prabhu and the context of Prabhupada giving that instruction. I would love to hear that because it's very inspiring. Actually. It totally makes sense. Could you?
It's hard to hear you.
Yeah, I just wanted to see if you could go over the specifics of that, the time and place and of that instruction that Prabhupada gave, because it's so poignant, because this topic comes up so much in different circles, and just laying it to rest.
Yes,
like
it can be misused.
Yes.
I think it even started to, like I said, the instruction is not to discuss it or talk or argue or debate it. It's to be kept very, very minimum. But they expend this. There's somebody I know who says it in every lecture. It's not to be known, because this is the place, this is the point when we come to our material intelligence is now going to be set away, and we're going to first touch the spiritual substance. The first my example is that man goes to a psychiatrist. The psychiatrist says, "Tell me about your dreams." He says, "They're out of focus." He says, "Well, when you go to sleep tonight, put your glasses on." So Prabhupada said, and word for word in Jaiva Dharma, it says, the mind and intelligence are essentially material substances, so they cannot receive this. Get on, and this is the spiritual master's order, to get on with it by realization, to go on with your sadhana practice, and then it will be realized.
Right. And when did he say this? What year do you?
From the very beginning, we said, how did we fall into Maya? Even some professor asked him very, very early, and so in '66, and we asked him for several days, and we pestered him because in our existence here, we have three kinds of time: past, present, and future. In the spiritual world, it's the eternal present, and I can't conceive of that. This cup is here. This cup is here. Was it always here? How can time and space change? And now the phone's ringing.
So, Prabhu, could I ask, what was that last instruction you're inquiring about?
The instruction was, now he said last instruction. So, but then in inquiring about him, he said, this is from.
I saw. Yeah.
But the Ryan Prabhu
Didn't he come and see you?
about the fall of the jiva.
Oh, that was yesterday.
I mentioned that.
No, then I haven't seen him today.
Like he just dropped down from Vaikuntha.
I'm in the middle of fall from
because
Vaikuntha.
he's nicely shaved up.
Real care.
And then Acyutananda brings the point. Fell from Vaikuntha, and then Badarayan took that as a cue. Hey, let's discuss that topic.
Oh yeah. So
I'm back.
So when you
phone the door, I'm so
got him. So
inundated. Devotees.
So, Acyutananda, I asking for a clarification here. So you said this final instruction, but that was instruction given to you in 22nd Avenue. So that would be an earlier instruction. So I'm just curious on the final instruction, because we have the two conflicting, like Prabhupada says in the Bhagavatam, that actually the jiva can never fall from Vaikuntha, but then in conversations, Prabhupada said, just like you said to Madhavi said, they said, yes, that is true, but actually they do not understand. But before he was in Brahman, before he was come out of the glance of Mahavishnu, he was with Krishna in Vaikuntha in his Leela or sport. So, there's these conflicting.
No, it doesn't exactly say that.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't exactly say that, because before Mahavishnu is Mahashankarshan. This is all, everybody read carefully the Adi Leela chapter 5, the glories of Nityananda, as Gaura just said from the song. Hanunitai bine bhai Radha Krishna paitena. Without the mercy of Lord Nityananda, Balaram, you can't make any advancement. So then it is also in one little line, all it says is after Balaram expands all the jivas in Goloka, and then he expands himself into the Chaturvyuha, and they expand. And one of those expansions is Shankarshan, who is the shelter of the living entities. Eternal associates of Goloka and Vaikuntha are not called living entities. They're not jivas, they are nitya siddhas. They don't make mistakes. They don't have 4 defects. They never misuse their independence. That's going to come up here. Free will. That's sort of the all-purpose thing that you can tell anything. They do not make it. You cannot stand in front of Krishna, who is more beautiful right now than he was 1 second ago. So don't blink. Now you can't turn away from them and say, "Hey, I want to enjoy and get born in Detroit and become a truck driver and have a beer on the weekend." You will not trade that in. You will not do that. Yeah.
Okay, but when Prabhupada said, so
you are arguing, I'm stopping right here.
Okay, no problem.
I'm stopping right here. Don't tell me Prabhupada said. He said, don't discuss or argue this. If you want to genuinely know, are you concerned about it, or do you want to fight? I will not go shot for shot with this point.
No, I'm not trying to
realize it. We'll realize it by sadhana, by realization or not. But there's no. When did water become wet? When water gets cold, it turns into ice. When water gets hot, it boils. When did that start? Did that start on some particular day back in time? No, it's eternally like that. We have to hear things in sequence. First, there's Krishna, and then he expands into Balaram on the right and Radharani on the left, and then the Chaturvyuha. But they're always eternally in place. See? And that's hard to understand because everything has a beginning here. That Rama Devi, Mahavishnu's Lakshmi, is Rama Devi, and she's called the time efficiency, the time. He starts the meter. Bam, there's material, past, present, and future in here. And everything has a beginning, middle, and end. So we want to impose that. There's Bhaktisiddhanta's example that he starts many articles and lectures like this about the two canal pullers. They're on the shore and they're pulling the canal, and I say, well, if I get rich, I'm going to put carpets and pillows on the pathway here so we don't have to hurt our feet pulling this damn barge, Not knowing that if you got money, you wouldn't have to, Prabhupada said, you wouldn't have to pull the bloody barge. But they're bringing their material, the limited conception, into the unlimited conception. Do you follow that canal puller example? I saw them in Hooghly River. The Ganges is called the Hooghly in North Calcutta. And on the side, there's a pathway and 2 men with a log and ropes, and they pull a barge through. So we can't bring our material conceptions into the non-material existence. All right?
Got it. No, I mean, it's probably.
It's a figure of, okay, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, right? What's Godhead?
The eternal Supreme Person.
No, Krishna cannot be the Supreme Personality of Godhead of Krishna. Godhead means godliness, the entire goodness. And Prabhupada in 1944, back to Godhead, here's this word Godhead. He got that, and he says, from the Archbishop of Canterbury, who said during this terrible World War II, we must go back to home, back to Godhead.
Mm. Wow, that's where Prabhupada got it from.
It's Godhood.
Mm-hmm.
And it becomes Godhead. It comes from the word Godhood, godliness, spiritual consciousness, Krishna consciousness. See? So that realm, that Parabyom, is all made out of spirit. There's no Maya there. And we were discussing that Krishna, I heard it this way. You read it another great way. Gaura read it. But Krishna Bhuliya Ji Bhoga Vanchakori, Maya Nikata Gelo, Tapatrayan Kori, Tapatrayan Jole. Being near Maya, the jivas are attracted to the Maya. Some of them are not. Some of them go up. Some of them look up. Some of them look down to Maya. This is called the Tatastha Shakti. And this is not very much explained properly. Some rays of the sun are covered by a cloud, and some are not. And there are some rays that are in the sun that are never even expanded. They're in the sun planet itself. This Tatastha Shakti. So coming out of Mahavishnu, and I got the idea, it came clearer to me reading the Brahma Samhita on this, the creation of the light that comes from Mahavishnu's brow. Because Angani Yasya Sakalendriya Pritimanti, he has interchangeable senses like Krishna. So he can deliver the souls into Maya from his glance. Upanishads, he glances over the material world. And that glance, that beam of Jyoti, which is not even, is a small version of the Brahma Jyoti. It's dimmer than the Brahma Jyoti even, and is called Shambhu, that is Sadashiva, and that is how the jivas again get delivered into the material world. When Mahavishnu glances over, some of that glance falls on Rama Devi, and it says, very passionately. When Rukmini, I'm going to go on here. Rukmini, after Krishna teases her, she faints, and Krishna then manifests 4 arms, 2 to pick her up and 2 to fix her hair and her earrings. And he goes, oh boy, now I'm in trouble. And Rukmini gets even, and she says, Anati Rikta Drisha, you don't look too indifferent when you gaze upon me in the creation. So don't tell me that you want to leave the throne of Dwarka and leave me and become a sannyasi, same word. So look at the scope of this prema. So the shadow that glance over Rama Devi, he's glancing at Rama Devi passionately, her shadow is Durga. And Shiva and Durga have, and Bhaktisiddhanta says there is no other word, but it is intercourse. And that's Shiva delivering. And look at how it is repeated over and over again in every, at least mammal. There's billions of seeds going into the into a fertile mother, and then coming. So the sperm is with the father. Yes. Do you have a relationship with your sperm? No, it has to go into the mother, be born, and now that's my son. So where were we before? We were with Krishna in his sport. We were with Krishna, but in the dormant state. It's a fantastic, and to explain it, I know the other way they explain it, they're missing out on this fantastic creation and delivery of life into matter.
Please keep talking on this. So fascinating.
So yeah, and even a flower, a flower sends out zillions of pollen particles, and then they go into another flower, or they're carried by bees. But it's the same process, more process in mammals or human beings. So that's why we have the Shiva Lingam. That lingam, a linga deha. Lingam means a symbolic idea. So Shiva then delivers all the jivas, and he says, inebriated by the association of Maya and the overpowering multitude of jivas. Those are the Buddha jivas, Nitya Buddha. So at the end, after a few days, we would keep asking Prabhupada this, and finally he just blurted out, he said, we are eternally fallen. Somebody's got a hand over
There, sorry. He
Oh.
just handed me the phone.
Baba Tarini
Oh,
has
good.
arrived with
there.
your
Yeah.
Dandavad Pranams.
So he just blurt. No, it's my karma that when I come to the punchline, somebody always does that.
I'm so sorry.
Start over. Hey, stay still. Shh. Prabhupada used to tell me, sit still. Sit straight. There you go. We pestered Prabhupada for days and days, and finally he blurted out, we are eternally fallen. That's the version that I heard Prabhupada said. No, I think it got, and it's not so bad, but it's become kind of, at times, kind of ugly. I think the 11 gurus, when they took their post, wanted to say, we came from Vaikuntha. Prabhupada is a Shakti Avatar, and so are we, and we came down from Vaikuntha to help him. We're not like you. And pretty soon the guy next to them, the 12th guy, or the 13th guy over here said, well, me too. And there was a whole big Me Too movement that we all, okay, then they had to, it was like opening a floodgate. And then pretty soon they had to say, okay, everybody was once in Vaikuntha. You cannot, Prabhupada says in the third canto, the conclusion is no one falls in Vaikuntha.
Actually, the
And
fourth.
again in seventh chapter, canto is very important because it starts with the question, well, it starts with the question, is Vishnu biased to his devotees? But it describes why there's Jai and Vijay. And Jai and Vijay are not like us. They're eternal associates of Krishna, eternally in Vaikuntha. And they don't really fall. And this leads to another superstition that we're not, I've heard people tell me this, I'm not really here. We're really there in the sleeping valley of the sleeping souls. I call it Nidraban, the sleep valley. No, nobody's sleeping up there. Where is this described? That there's sleeping souls here and live souls. And I say, oh, you're not here? Yeah. Well, you'll know you're here when that bottle of shampoo falls on your big toe in the shower. You will know that you're here. And if you're not here, then who am I talking to?
So can I can I ask a question in terms of clarification?
Why, certainly.
Why, thank you. You mentioned that referencing the conversation that Prabhupada had with Madhavisa about, but what they do not know is they were previously with Krishna in his Leela or sport. And you clarified that in a nice way.
No, he didn't say that Madhavisa. The answer to, by the way, everybody know it. I said this whole thing at a temple, an ISKCON temple. I got kicked out. I'm banned.
Oh.
From yeah.
We'll never ban you here.
Yeah. So
anyway,
so the question was the question in that letter from Madhavisa. I read that letter. There's a long letter.
Yeah.
He doesn't say, yes, we misused our free will, we fell. He doesn't say that. He goes into many, many different things about the inability of the mind and intelligence to go there. And then he gives the great example of the crow and the tal fruit, which is another way of saying, you can't use your intellect. Big pundits, the crow lands on a branch of a tal fruit and the tal fruit falls down. And so these pundits all start to debate what caused that tal fruit to fall. Well, maybe the weight, maybe it was about to fall just when the crow landed. Maybe touching the branch by the crow that made the tal fruit fall. Maybe when the crow left off and flew away, that caused the tal fruit to fall off. Maybe, and they go on. And the idea is that you cannot use your intelligent logic to understand this.
Right.
That's it. So he doesn't say, yeah, we fell down, we misused, and we're sleeping up there and we're walking around here. He doesn't say that. He gives a very, very long letter with all these examples.
So what I want
to... Another time we were with Krishna in his sport. Yeah, we were in Krishna in his sport in dormant in dormant within Mahashankarshan. When the material, with the desire to create, he expands. He's the material, the ingredient cause. He can create matter. No one else can create matter.
If may I say, then?
The scientists pick up a lump of mud and they say, hey, God, we're going to build our own universe from this mud. And God says, put that down. You make your own mud. They cannot create mud. They can only transform. They can only transform material energy. So
Right.
yeah, we were with Krishna, and his sport is this creation, where he gives a chance, and most of the jivas look up and go back to Godhead. But some of them, because they're near Maya, because they're near Maya, they see Maya. There's no Maya in Vaikuntha. It's far, 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 far away. To get
Right.
out of Maya, you have to go through the 10 coverings of the universe. You go to the Viraja, which is a spiritual sky, unlimited ocean. Then there's Brahmajyoti, and then there's the first Vaikuntha planet. So they're not near Maya. They don't even know that there's Maya.
Right, exactly. We came across a letter too, written to Jagadish, where he's asking this question to Srila Prabhupada, remember, in Vrindavan. And Prabhupada said, yes, it's like the child is with the father, yeah, but like the sperm is in the father.
Yes.
So yeah, we were with the father, but it's not, we haven't related to him yet.
No, there is no relationship there. So those jivas that are dormant within Mahavishnu, and there, Banu has there's a great video, it's about an hour or more, of the Paramatma Sandarbha. And he goes right through this point here, that the Buddha jivas have a karma eternally stuck to them. From time immemorial, we have always been engaged in something, and the material desire is there. Until the material desire is gone, then we're still stuck here. So that is with Krishna's point. Now we come back to why did, so that, yeah, that sounds like we were with Krishna, and that leads one to speculate that we were with Krishna, and then they make up some supportive story about that. And people have heard that for so long, now it's cognitive dissonant to hear it another way. But it is called, we discussed this in another meeting, Chandra Shaka Nyaya, the logic of telling a child, look, see, the moon is on the branch.
Right, right.
So you give simple examples in the beginning and later, but then also they must not be, the people who go by this, and I know some of them, I know a lot of them, what was I going to say? They probably have not heard the description of even Vishnu and Krishna. You can't turn away from that. You have to be beyond Maya to see and be there. And be fixed up. Here's another great one that just came to my attention this afternoon. After Nanda Baba is arrested by an agent of Varuna, he comes back, and Krishna describes, also Krishna takes everybody to Keshi Ghat, but then Prabhupada goes on, it says, when the jiva is spiritually mature, and devotee is spiritually mature, he first goes to a planet where Krishna Lila is being performed. And there the training goes on, and this is the first time he gets an opportunity to serve Krishna.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Called Boma Lila.
Yes, they asked this question to Srila Prabhupada, 1975 in Mexico. Srila Prabhupada, when we perfect our bhakti yoga, are we going directly to the spiritual world? Prabhupada said, no. You take birth in the family of Gopas.
Yeah.
In Boma Vrindavan, in some universe where there is a planet Earth that Krishna is performing his lila. Then when Krishna falls his pastime, it will take you back with him.
And then I believe it might be possible to fall down from there. You may not continue. Because another example is that Lord Chaitanya had that servant in South India who fell out with gypsies. They say,
Right, Krishna.
see, okay, well, he didn't fall into, he had temporary fall into mud, but he was in the Boma Leela. That Leela doesn't happen in the eternal Navadvip,
Right.
Sweta Dvip. But even that, Mahaprabhu sends him back to Puri, and there, what do the Vaishnavas do? They said, let's engage him in some service. You be the messenger to go to Navadvip and tell everybody when Mahaprabhu comes back. So they showed mercy. Similarly, Jiva Goswami. Now, the reason also this has just come up is because Prabhupada told us not to argue about this, I never bothered to gather an arsenal of arguments and verses and examples or illustrations for it until now, because it became a big thing. So there the training goes on. That Boma Leela is also called Sadhana Leela. You're still practicing. The training goes on. Very important point.
And we have, like when Krishna appears here on planet Earth, we have all these demons coming in, which would not be in Goloka Vrindavan.
Very good.
But there are here in Boma. There's rumors of that, such a thing.
Yeah.
But here also he kills Keshi. But then in Vaikuntha and Goloka Vrindavan, he's riding after subduing him. He rides, and same as Kalia. He takes, some parts, he takes him for a ride on the Jamuna. But there's only rumors of demons, no?
Yes. That enhances.
Naimitic Leela.
Yes.
That enhances their Baba. Oh, Krishna, there might be a demon coming again. Hamsa may come. Hamsa may come to kill Krishna,
There's an anecdotal, I forgot who it's from. It's in the Siddhanta memory series. This is brilliant. Thank you so much for spending time on this to clarify these points. I'll wait till he comes back. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Acyutananda?
I want to welcome Trinandi Maharaj, my old friend, who is living at the feet of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in Godrum Dvip. He's just accepted my invitation. I don't know how many minutes he'll spare with us.
Oh, one of my favorite places, Dandavas, Prabhu.
Dandavas Niraharibu. Dandavas. Haribol, Haribol.
Nandi Swami, you're looking like a young boy.
I can't see
inside.
Did you do the audio for Jaiva Dharma?
Yes.
I listen to it every day. And we were just discussing that. I'll repeat everything I just said.
I think I caught a lot of it. No. I caught a lot of it about Boma Leela. You were talking about Naimitic Leela, basically.
Yes, we're talking about also the Jiva Tattva part, chapter.
Oh, my 15, favorite, 16th.
Yes.
Yeah, my favorite. Yes. Love it.
There's that super. And Prabhupada, when Prabhupada explained it to us, then in 66, and then when I read it in Jaiva Dharma, I said, this is exactly the way Prabhupada told us.
Of course. It's interesting in that 16th chapter, Brajanath, he asks 7 questions, and they're all coming from a victim complex mentality. It's not my fault, right? This is always the stumbling block. This is why sometimes people like to put a twist on things, because it's hard for them to bear the reality that it is our fault. We have to own up for the responsibility and carry it. And Brajanath, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is so expert. Are you catching it? Are you hearing me?
Yeah.
Yes.
That he's so expert that he knows our wiggly kind of like mentalities, trying to wiggle out of our responsibility of, owning up to the fact that it's our responsibility that we are here. So there's 7 questions in that chapter 16, right at the very beginning. And I traveled many times speaking this in the company of different devotees, and always there would be one person in the assembly objecting. It's not my fault. So back to you.
I like what Srila Narayan Maharaj would say: take the blame, don't complain, chant the name.
Oh, very nice, very nice. Perfect, Prabhu.
So,
Perfect,
Acyutananda Maharaj, whose fault is it then?
Our fault,
It's our fault.
individually.
Our fault.
No, I'm referring to that person, someone who doesn't take, that won't accept that it's their fault. Then who are they blaming then?
Krishna, circumstances, destiny, providence, whatever other name they want to give to it. But it's the difficulty with many devotees in their lives to carry the responsibility for their own predicaments or situations, whatever. And as soon as we do it, of course, then we have the capacity to actually purify it and get out of it. But unless that stand is taken, then we can't work with it. We have no power, we have no potency, because we're not expecting responsibility. It's just like a psychological thing as much as anything else, actually.
It's a keystone.
That's why it has to be
Keystone.
carefully. That's why it so has to be carefully explained, or the new neophyte will think that Krishna is being mean.
Yes.
That's it. That's
Yeah.
it. That's it. That's it.
Right.
That's it.
So
He's
I
a
have,
Conditioned soul can
I have
easily
another question for clarification, if you would, because I think it's this point is I think most devotees will accept this point, no problem. That yes, we have to take, it's kind of extreme ownership of our condition.
Yes.
There's an anecdotal description given in the memory series. I forgot which devotee it was, and in Siddhanta's memory series, where the devotees had heard that Prabhupada said in the verse in Bhagavad Gita where Krishna says, once having returned, once having achieved the supreme realm, one will never return. And devotees had heard that Prabhupada said, well, that might not always be true. So they came into Prabhupada's room and they were questioning Prabhupada. And Prabhupada said, Prabhupada, it's described, I forgot which devotee it is, but it's on the video memories and it's in the book, the transcription memories. Prabhupada tilted his head and said, Prabhupada said, yes, never. He said, but never means almost never. So I wanted to get both you, Acyutananda Maharaj, and Acyutananda Swami's commentary.
Well,
in the letter.
It's also in the one of the purports.
Let him speak, Bavatrini, please.
Okay. In that same letter, long letter to Madhudvisa, he says, some devotees are special and by their own sweet will come here for preaching.
Right.
Yes,
Okay.
that's it.
Otherwise,
That's it.
Tadgatvana nivartante
Taddama paramamama.
tadhamam paramamama. Otherwise, no one. But that's not
All
us.
of our Guru Vargya
Some
is
people-
manifesting from there. Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Who are they? Who is Bhakti
Right.
Vinod Thakur? Kamala Manjari. Who is Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur? Vinod Manjari. Who is Krishnadas Kaviraj? Kasturi? Where have they come from? They've all come from the lotus feet of Srimati Radhika. They've all come from her to support Krishna's desire to taste his own sweetness. So it's phenomenal, the line actually that we're sitting in. It's so incredibly good. And they've all come from that realm. To otherwise, I was thinking just the other day, what a difficult task it seems that Krishna actually had when he came here as Mahaprabhu to tell the world that Krishna in Vrindavan is dancing with other men's wives, and for respectable followers of Dharma to accept this. The condition of the heart is very soft and sensitive. How is he going to actually put that into the heart of the conditioned jivas at this particular moment in time? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It doesn't seem to be, it's not a simple proposition as that. It can't just be magically ordained, because the individual jiva always has his independence to choose whether to accept it or not to accept it. That's the glitch. It's not guaranteed, because we're such rascals. We can just turn around in a second and say, no, I can it all. I'm not going to take it on board. You know, it's a very, so these maidservants of Srimati Radhika, they all come to assist in Mahaprabhu's mission to impregnate the world with this Manjari Bhav, which is what he's come to give, Braja Prem, Braja Ras. He's come to give Bhakti Ras. Previously there was Bhakti, no problem, but Bhakti Ras, that's a whole nother dimension. Yeah. And great stalwarts like Rupa Goswami, they are the principals to expound on this. And only because of Rupa Goswami, basically, that we are all sitting here today, able to talk about these types of topics. Yeah. By the way, I've never met a lot of you before, but I just want to congratulate or say that Badri Narayan Prabhu, who I'm looking at now, I saw his video about the vaccines and was very, very impressed. Oh. And I very much wanted to contact you, and I wanted to catch another. You said you would make another video about what you thought about what was going on, and I was searching everywhere for where can I find that video to see what his view is. But I just want to say one more thing. I feel very nervous in all your sitting here in this assembly with all of you. You're all very old, dear Prabhupada disciples. I joined in 1979, and I feel I'm sitting at all of your lotus feet, and I'm very honored to be sitting here. Somehow my friend Gaura just rang me up and stuck me on this thread with you all. So I just want to express my gratitude for being with you today for a few moments, and, you know, being able to express something about, you know, our divine path, because it's phenomenal what Mahaprabhu is doing right now. It's historic times. Yes. Historic times, and I'm convinced that this is all connected with Mahaprabhu's mission. Ultimately, people have to come to face their own responsibility for their actions, just like we talked about, you know, in the mundane world, like taking the vaccine, etc. It's such a divide has seemed to manifest it, and it's really, really healthy, even amongst devotees. You know, this is like something that we really have to work on.
Especially.
Yes. Who said that?
It's so interesting you say that, because a lot of devotees, their tendency is to, okay, no, this is like too much. I'm going too much down the rabbit hole, and it's taking me away from my focus on the Supreme Lord and his mission. But no, this is actually part of the.
It is his mission. Yes.
Because this is determining it's like, if this, as Prabhupada said, I want my American boys, I can't remember if he said American boys and girls, to fight stringently against this atheistic communism. What we're seeing is the pernicious influence of this within the entire human society, its end goal is to wipe out God consciousness.
Yes.
Excellent.
Prabhupada turned them scientists. He was battling the scientists, and it's the scientists who are the asuras, that they're carrying the asuric bhav, you know, around the planet. And he battled that, didn't he? On almost every purport. He was, you know, banging the Mayavads, etc.
So I have a question, and this is.
One second, can Jivan Mukta just speak for a second? Jivan Mukta, Prabhu, 1 second.
Sorry, Prabhu. I apologize. I just was saying that there's one conversation I read a few days ago, wherein Prabhupada was discussing various political situations, and then the topic of the Soviet Union came up, and the Americans diplomatically, like, just avoiding confrontation with them. Prabhupada is very critical that the Americans did not bomb the living hell out of Soviet Russia, because he was saying that, you know, they're atheistic, and the fact that the Americans negotiated a peace with them demonstrates their weakness due to overindulgence in sense gratification.
So I don't know if you're aware, but they just finished maneuvers 25 miles away from Hawaii. The Russians doing a big show of strength on the capability of destroying carriers.
But those are like those really are the details that we don't want to get too entangled in. I mean,
No,
there
of
are
course.
the details on the ground are going on. But what is the overview? What is the bigger picture that our acharyas
exactly.
and Prabhupada have illuminated for us?
In atheism, I have like a couple of days ago, I came across something that Prabhupada said. It was written, I think, in Prabhupada's Today. And it talks about the atheist. For him, actually, God,
Hypocrite atheist.
he called him hypocrite atheist, that God is actually death, comes to them as death. So I sent the article to my cousin, who is #1 in the 70s. He was a neurosurgeon. He lives in New England. He's got several degrees. He's professor at Yale. His response was that everything is from the brain, that's just the function of the brain against the angst of living, the anxiety of living, that we come up with this idea of God. And I'm yet to respond to him, but he's a very well-connected man. I mean, imagine he lives right where the Kennedys were. He is super rich up there. But
they don't have the adhikar, they don't have the
adhikar. So
no.
And his father too, highly qualified man, agronomist. He invented drip irrigation and desalination of soils. He gave that to Israel. And one time he called me over and said, either God doesn't exist or he is very cruel. And these are Jewish men that have lost family, with me too. I mean, I belong to that family. But like you said, there's a lack of adhikar. But this is one of the things I remember being on the streets in Buenos Aires and preaching. We were confronted with every single type of philosophy that you can imagine. And atheism was that. And one of the things was, from religion is the opium of the masses, like Marx would say. And the other one was that it was just a reaction, a chemical thing of the brain to fence itself against the angst of living, this in the material world. So,
how can we demonstrate to them the reality of Krishna, like Prabhupada was able to do by his beautiful character and personality, etc.? I mean, that seems to be like, with people that you're talking about now, their age group is actually too old almost to purify. If you've gone past a certain number of years, you're so set in your ways. I was imagining this morning having a conversation with Robert Kennedy, because I think he comes from a good place, but actually he's old. How would he take on board the reality of the Lord and having his own planet and the personality of Godhead, etc.? It's too much of a quantum leap for them to take. We can't actually purify that generation. I don't think we can anyway, but we can influence. Of course.
Myself, I don't have that type of potency. I mean, Srila Prabhupada actually met so many parents.
Yes.
And they're just immediately it's like when they came to Lord Chaitanya for 3 years consecutively, asking, how can I distinguish a pure devotee of the topmost quality? And you remember, it says, that topmost devotee immediately makes people spontaneously chant the holy name. And Hanuman is one example. His father was like a salesman, pretty old, set in his ways, and his food was pretty much meat and potatoes. But when he saw Prabhupada, he just broke down. He went down on his knees and he asked for blessings and like that. There's so many examples. And so
can we aspire for that by their mercy? Isn't that what Prabhupada wants from us now? We've been practicing for 40 or 50 years, chanting, some potency and purity must have manifested. Otherwise, it's not even true. Of course, so much potency is. I think many times we underestimate the amount of potency that we actually have, or our potential. We should stretch a little bit and, beg for their mercy and take risks at this point in time and stand out there. I mean, it is the time for us to come forth. We can't retire anymore.
No.
I mean, this is the pivotal point in history. Are we going to actually I mean, you personally touched my heart so deeply. I can remember we went to Kamyavan and we spent time walking around, and just your nature, your personality, everything I felt that resonated from Prabhupada. I felt it in my heart. I was very deeply inspired and touched by your association at that time. And that's just one incident. But what about if we go into, they will empower us. It's like Prabhupada came to New York with the confidence that Krishna would empower him. I think we have to have that confidence. Shraddha Shabde Vishvasa. Vishvasa means confidence, that depth of faith, and confidence. Yes, Prabhupada is so much alive today. I mean, I'm sure all of you, we talk to him all the time. I mean, and Gurudev, they living with me in my house.
So
I'm feeding them.
Yes.
This principle that you're speaking about is so important because, I think the tendency is to go, okay, the getting older in years. Okay, it's time. No,
yes,
we are on the battlefield, and it's like when I don't know if you ever saw the movie. There's a movie, one of the Clint Eastwood's last movie. It was about I think it was about Iwo Jima. And it was about this one guy that was, he was a medic and he wouldn't go into the battle with a weapon. It was a true story. And everybody made fun of this guy. But he ended up receiving the Medal of Honor because all these, I can't remember the exact scenario, but he saved, like, he was pulling all these people up this hill in Iwo Jima, saving all these soldiers. He said, I can't leave anyone behind. I can't leave anyone behind. And he risked his life, got the medal. It was a heroic, miraculous thing. He saved like 30, 40 soldiers. So in the same way, at every moment, there's souls in Kali Yuga that are meeting this horrific demise and taking lower births. And we really can't sit back and allow that to happen when we have this gift of knowledge. And
I remember Prabhupada said, retirement means a different occupation.
Right.
We're like been busy the last 30, 40 years maintaining household life. And, to thank my wife very much. We never stopped really distributing books or singing and like that. But it reminded me at one time I said to Trini, I just feel I wish, there was a photo of me somebody sent me when we were at the park, all shaved head and chanting. And Hanuman had come, says sannyas, and he said, this is the way Prabhupada told me. Make $1 million, spend $1 million. And so we would do that. We separated the money. I was a treasurer, so I'm vice president, Sankirtan leader, all this stuff. We were 3 people in the temple. Then it became 50. But he showed us, it was like that faith. And I know Acyutananda Prabhu, you've been there, that we went all out. There was just, we'll spend all the money in printing more books, a little bit for boga. Sometimes we didn't have anything to eat. But then all of a sudden, somebody knocked at the door with bags of semolina. And I think that's what we had for a week because there was
So where to go today? Where to go today with this?
It's like you said, I think we should do that step, that leap. We have to have that faith. And we have to know what our purpose is and what, set the goals.
I don't think we have to go anywhere because it seems so much as with technology. I mean, I'm just sitting here in Navadvip talking to you in Hawaii. I mean, it's not like and we're in older bodies, so we don't need that youthful energy necessarily. But how can we use our God-given intelligence to balance things a little bit now?
Well, we have a plumber and tree trimmers at the house, and and we had 2 cows in the backyard and, in a neighborhood that is one ag. So I had complaints and all this stuff. But then we had so many people who come forth and say, wow, what are you doing? So there's so much opportunity to tell individuals about Krishna, tell them about Srila Prabhupada, tell them about these great personalities. And then we had the media. We had this great thing that now we sell in eBay, we sell in Bhagavad Gitas around the world. that we got bling, one Bhagavad Gita. So maybe it's less amounts, but like that. So
Actually,
when there is a will, there is a way, isn't it?
I think the most powerful, Badri Narayan.
But Badarayan,
Badarayan, sorry.
Yeah, Badarayan.
Badarayan.
No worries, Prabhu. Amaraj. I just wanted to comment on something you said earlier about feeling the confidence that Prabhupada will empower us, Prabhupada can empower us and will empower us, and having the belief, the knowing that will happen if we have that type of mindset. My dear Lord, please empower me, Srila Prabhupada. And knowing, yes, you will empower me if we, as you say, if we put ourselves out there. And there's
like Prabhupada did.
Like Prabhupada did. It's like Prabhupada said. Brahmachari asked Prabhupada in LA, how can we ever repay our debt to you? And Prabhupada said, actually, you can never repay the debt to the spiritual master. But if you want to try, you must preach vigorously as I have done. So there's so many ways and means. Like you say, there's somehow or another, we each have a God-given talent, a God-given talent. And somehow or another, we just have to put ourselves out there. I know myself, I have many projects I'm involved with, but I actually distribute books every weekend. And I meet so many people and I get everybody to chant the holy name and distribute books. And I have other projects, some online projects, some music projects. But it's just being out with the public, whether it's online or in person, and giving them these books, giving them the holy name. It's massively enlivening. And you just
sound vibration. Yes, sound. Sankirtan is what Mahaprabhu has given us. It's the antidote. This is the drum of this age, isn't it? It's Sankirtan.
And Prabhupada says in Chaitanya Charitamrita, in the pastime where Lord Chaitanya took sannyas from the Mayavadi sannyasis, and Prabhupada said that in that purport, such a famous purport, that he said, therefore, this is very unusual that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did this as a strategic logistical move. And Prabhupada said in the purport, therefore, the members of the Krishna consciousness movement should strain their brains to think of different novel ways and means to bring people to the lotus feet of Krishna, something like that. So that's really our job, is to strain our brains. How can we reach people, whether it's
and he had a lot of faith in the American people also, in particular, so I've joined this link today to get some inspiration from you of which way forward. I can sit and chant and I can speak to various people and give classes and stuff like that, but I'm feeling I want something more cohesive. I would like to be with a group that are really visionary in this sense. Because now, things are piling up really quickly. You know better than me how fast these demons are actually just blanketing the earth. Here in India, this Modi, he's an innocent man, but he's been totally corrupted by the demon influence completely. And the whole of India is just like bizarre. They don't think for themselves. They only follow the government. If you told them to walk around with their finger up their nose, they all would do. They do whatever they're told because they have that tradition coming down from Yudhisthira Maharaj. Said, the Raja Rishis, that they have that embedded in their DNA practically, dharmic. So I personally believe that some light is going to shine from Bharatvash, from India at some point, because they can't lose their dharma. And when the demons, they push hard enough and too hard, and it becomes too apparent that actually we've all been fooled. We've been, jinxed by these demons. And when they wake up, then there's going to be a huge cry. They're not going to compromise on anything. You've seen these riots sometimes in India. They don't hold back on anything. You have little riots in America, sporadic in different cities and so on. But if you have the whole Indian nation, recognizing that this influence is adharmic, that has been prevailing here for the last 15, 20 years, basically. And it's really reached its pitch right now. Do you know that India, Prabhu, is the biggest beef exporter in the world?
Wow.
Actually, it's second to Brazil this year, but previously it was the first. So they've lost so much through their ignorance, how to But I believe that the light, because traditionally Krishna has always manifested in Bharatvash. All the saints and sages have come from this land. There's something special here.
So can I just comment on this, Maharaj? So like, you could make this your platform of preaching, you know, kind of the kind of revitalization of you know, Raja Ram, you know, of the glory of India and combating the ills of the modern age, and kind of develop a whole platform and come up with an online presentation that you could do this, because you know, you're speaking from knowledge, you're speaking with passion, you're speaking with an empowerment, and you know, and you have a passion for offsetting the demonic influence of Bharatvarsha that you see happening. So I mean, this could be a platform for you.
Well, we do get some news from India, and I was reading about a village. The entire village preferred to follow their saint or guru, and did you read that?
I did.
And the government sent all these men to like vaccinate everybody, and only just like 1% showed up. They refused absolutely to be vaccinated.
They chased them out.
There's one Ayurvedic doctor that was curing everybody.
Oh yes, I saw that one too, but he's in jail now.
Oh, he is really?
Yeah, they put him in jail.
Wow.
To protect him.
They said to protect him.
Okay. Right.
But I saw a video of Modi chanting Gorni Tai, Hari Bol. So
what's that Maharaj says? He's innocent, but he's got some.
So
I mean, what do you call it? The monetary, what's it called? Rothschild. The banks, you know, are owned by Rothschild. They can't move without their tweaking. I mean, at the top of the triangle, so to speak, you do have these personalities that are Rakshasas, you know, in those. That's why they've lived for so long. That's why they've taken such a time to actually develop what's happening right now.
Yeah, I think it goes. I think it goes
years.
even beyond. I think it's Rothschild might even be just a front man. If we are to accept that, like Prabhupada said, the planet has been ruled by Rakshasas who live long. I mean, the Rockefellers, and I mean, it's not just the Jewish bankers, but there's other bankers, and I think they're just the front men. The same as the multi-billionaires now, like Gates or whoever. They're just front men.
The top man is Kali.
Yes. But we're going into some of the, you know, what people will say.
When you say like that, though, when you say like that, it's almost like disempowering for the general people, because Kali gets into the individual's desire for greed and lust, etc. So this is what's crippling. I mean, you know, and what's interesting is that the general person who's not a devotee, they think the solution will be to go back to where we were before, just killing lots of cows, polluting the planet, doing all these kind of things, indulging deeply in sense gratification. You know, to go forward, the devotees are putting down the blueprint that actually that's not the way. You know, that there's something more sattvic that could be. Of course, ultimately, the devotees don't even want to stay on the planet. We actually, you know, this is not our home. We are foreigners in a foreign place, ultimately. But at the same time, you know, we want to please Srila Prabhupada, please our Guru Varga to the best of our ability.
I think I'm going to have to.
Oh, yeah, we have to pay the tree trimmers.
Okay, see you next time.
But we were talking about opportunities. Okay. We embarked in this saving of cows because the state of Hawaii, everything is imported. Can you believe it? I mean, there's a place, it's like India, where you have 3 crops a year. You know, it's so fertile, millions of acres unused. And so the last dairy, big conglomerate, horrible dairy that they would just take the calves the first few hours as they were born and putting them in these little cages and feeding them formulas of colostrum and whatever else they feed them. This company got shut down by some prominent lawyer that Sierra Club backed, you know, and like that. But the the demons are controlling and dominating food. Is one of the things they do. So when we try to go against this, it was like, wow, we saw them coming out at us.
We can't go against anything.
No.
We have to invoke Krishna to actually empower us to do anything, and he has to direct. We have to become more Sharanagat, because Krishna is the only one who can actually purify this total pollution of demons, or Kali Maharaj, as Achyuta Prabhu was saying.
But it has to be a
coalition.
like it has to be a coalition of devotees, like-minded devotees. I mean, this project that I was just trying to invoke, we talked to everybody from Ambarish to all the devotees that had the multimillionaires. We got some support from Chrissy Hines, Krishna Mayi, and she was wondering what was going on. She went on to become from vegan to, again, taking a Vedic diet and supporting an ahimsa farm in England. And like that, there are just here and there some devotees, and we ended up having to do it ourselves, bringing the cows, few of the cows. They have 2,000 cows, and they sold most of them to the slaughterhouse. When we first, and then I saw the manifesto of the GBC saying that in 2 years, by 2022, all the prasadam served should be organic. And so I said, well, great opportunity to make devotees aware that we should protect the cows. Prabhupada said, you cannot call yourself a civilized nation if you don't protect the cows and the Brahmins. Those two things have to be, and reading all the stories of the great demons, what do they go first for? What did Ravan send all his, or Kansa, his accomplices? He'd send them out to destroy the Brahminical culture and the cows. So, I went nowhere, Prabhu. I went to, we ended up bringing cows to our land. We weren't ready, weren't prepared. We got in debt for what we don't even have. The banks, because of COVID, they just weren't lending any money. And the biggest adversaries that we have were the vegans and some of the devotees. Unfortunately, I have to say, some of the ISKCON devotees and some of the other devotees said, well, it's not my plate, Prabhu. I said, well, you're a Brahmin. I mean, every Brahmin had cows. You can take at least one and protect. Let's get together. The elders don't have to do a physical thing. And in so doing, we spoke to Hawaiian Nation here. They were all in agreement that it was fantastic. That I told them about Prabhupada. It was a great platform to preach. I mentioned that to the devotees. I mean, if we corner the market on milk production in the Big Island, on the state of Hawaii, it's phenomenal. I mean, you can just from there go on. And it's funny, some regular guys, regular lawyers could see that, but devotees not, unfortunately. So I don't know what the plan is. But anyhow, I'm sorry if I deviated into this thing, but it was all about preaching. I thought it was a great platform to start from ground zero where we are. How do we do it?
I think
so. Go ahead.
One point that we could begin is uniting the devotees. I mean, as we know, this current situation is very divisive. That's part of, Machiavelli, whatever, they divide and conquer. So that would be most tragic if the devotees themselves suffered that dilemma of division. So, as senior men, we could consider how we can harmonize, how we can collectively accept each other with respect and acknowledge each other's individuality, etc., uniqueness, and so on. It calls for very broad consideration just amongst ourselves. We're sitting here. I'm not sure how many of us were here. Probably 10 or 15. You're a lot of very mature souls sitting here. But I somehow, fortunate, just dropped in on you.
I've been listening to your audio for a long time, and now I get to see you. But I think the
unfortunately,
biggest,
I can't
the
see
biggest,
it.
Go ahead, Acyutananda.
okay, start over. I think the biggest obstacle comes back to this we fell from Vaikuntha idea, because they think that they're avatars and this is my Leela and I can do any damn nonsense I want. I can open up the Gopal Govinda used car lot. And this comes back to actually the meaning of the third commandment. Don't take the Lord's name in vain. It means don't do something for yourself and say it's for God.
Mm.
This is namaparad. That's not, it doesn't mean cursing. It doesn't mean God damn it. It means don't do something for your own profit and say you're doing it. And that's going on. And this fall from Vaikuntha falls right into their lap. They love it. Some devotees came specially, and yeah, that's me. Oh yeah, and well, that's me too. And here we go again. I said earlier before you came, I think this started with these 11 appointed gurus, and they wanted to say that they were sent from Vaikuntha. And then pretty soon everybody else, they had to let everybody else, and they came up with these preposterous superstitions. Have you heard them?
Awesome point.
The land of the sleeping souls, that we're in two places. We're not really here. We're there. Oh boy. It's, and Prabhupada said.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest divide. And they get very angry. That's why Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Prabhupada says, do not argue this.
Right.
These topics ultimately are achintya, and we have to accept that. And we have to accept Trinadapi Sunichena. This is the difficulty, certainly as we get older sometimes, as we feel we have more potency or whatever, then that horrific demon of pride can jump in front of us also. So, it's I don't know what is the way forward collectively, but I do believe that there must be a collective.
Stating that it's a achintya, as long as that's not disempowering, we need the insights like Acyutananda Prabhu's, like this is a very complex log jam, and we need the expertise to say strike at this point. This is what Prabhupada did.
Yeah. But it's like you mentioned, it's not a matter of intelligence.
No, it's not a matter of intelligence. It's a matter of acceptance of the acharyas.
But then we had to know then all the levels of bhakti. There's Vaidhi Bhakti and there's Raganuga Bhakti. And those who are in Raganuga Bhakti, usually they get, my battery died. They usually don't like, they don't accept those who try to the path of Raganuga Bhakti. Isn't it the case?
But even Achyuta Prabhu's point, that to accept that the jiva has come from Tatashta, we haven't fallen. That's not a difficult proposition to actually establish, because there's no other group or devotee in the world except some coming from the ISKCON camp that proclaims this. Prabhupada never said that. If you look in, Canto 7, Chapter 1, verse 38, I think it is, or 32, he says categorically, it is a fact that no one ever falls from Vaikuntha. He has said this repeatedly through his scriptures.
Maharaj,
but they get angry.
No.
Maharaj, they do.
You spoke a long time.
Acyutananda, speak.
Hawaii, we heard a lot from. I've heard from many people. I said, no, I don't believe we fell from it. Well, Prabhupada said, I said, it's in Prabhupada's books. They go, where? And these are people who think that they know the books inside out. And they go, where does it say? It says it all over. Even Adam, like you were saying, all the other, even non-Hindu, Adam and Eve were created on earth. They didn't fall from heaven. But they have, I think, a lot of Christians who became devotees of some kind. In ISKCON, they came from Christian, where there's a story of Saint Michael.
Yes.
Knocking out the devil from heaven.
Yeah.
Which I think they made up because they couldn't answer just like they can't answer reincarnation, so they invented purgatory, just not in anybody.
Yeah, it's true. It's in Prabhupada's books all over. You know,
Yeah.
Jai and Vijay came because they were cursed by the Kumaras, you know, and it's not, and it's clearly said by Jiva Goswami, by Bhaktivinoda Thakur explicitly in Jivadharma, that we are the third type of jiva. The first type of jiva is coming from Baladev to serve Radha Bihari Lal in Goloka Vrindavan. The second from Lord Narayan in Vaikuntha, from Sankarshan. The third is manifesting in this world from the Tatashta.
Did everybody hear him? Is there an echo in here? What did I say to Mr. Weinberg? What did I say? Same thing. This is called parampara, preaching.
Yes.
And also
you know,
in the fourth canto of the Bhagavatam, Prabhupada says categorically the same thing. That actually the conclusion is that the living entity can never fall from Vaikuntha. Same thing.
Yeah. If you think that the living entity can fall from Vaikuntha, your faith in the spiritual world is really, really shaky. That means you don't believe in perfection in the spiritual world. The spiritual world is utterly perfect. What does Nitya Siddha mean? It means eternally perfect. There is no anomaly in the spiritual world at all. Why should we smear our conditioned idea onto the spiritual world just for the sake of convenience? Like Acyutananda Prabhu was saying, because of our generally Judaic backgrounds, we were all coming from that background. So the narrative kind of fits, you know, Milton's Paradise Lost, etc. It sort of all fits in there. So we kind of go with it, but it's wrong. It's like you're building something and you've got the original equation, 1 + 1 = 4. It doesn't, it equals 2. Your whole equation is going to be out entirely.
that's why I think this is the big rift
Divide.
between devotees and disciples of Prabhupada or ISKCON, those who believe this and those who know the proper way. They will even go, they use a lawyer's trick. Oh, well, only Prabhupada, you know. And you can't quote from previous acharyas. But I said everyone should write down.
Who is Prabhupada? He's the embodiment of the previous acharyas, isn't he? Oh my God, if we're thinking that he's less than the previous acharyas.
They want to make him like a Jesus or a Buddha or a Muhammad that just comes alone and appears before us. They don't accept. So everybody know the Adi Lila, chapter 2, verse 117. At the end of the purport says, those who suggest we not read the previous acharyas are akin to impersonalists.
Yes.
So if they say, oh, I only know Prabhupada, and Prabhupada said, and they construe so much.
Yes, but what did Prabhupada say? This is the point. If we look in the 7th canto, he's saying categorically, it is a fact that no one falls from Vaikuntha.
They have an answer for that.
Yeah, Madhusudan's letter, one letter. What, Madhusudan Maharaj? He had one letter. This is the one piece of evidence that they want to bring up. That Prabhupada said at a particular time and circumstance.
There's a few conversations and other things. It's not just one letter. There's.
But then they say that we're in 2 places. We're there and we're here. We're not really here. It's crazy. Here's the example. The example. I hope I can get this out. Man goes into the woods and he sees an arrow in the trees. Many arrows in the trees, right in a bullseye. And he sees the man with the bow and arrow. Says, wow, you're a great shot. He says, well, I shoot arrows anyway, and the ones that hit the trees, I paint a target around them.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Yes, I got your point.
Eisegesis. It's called eisegesis. When exegesis, when you draw out the meaning of the work. Eisegesis, when you put your own meaning into your work.
Yes, yes. What do we want? Don't we want to, engender devotion for Krishna in this world? Don't we want to, take the acharyas into our hearts? I mean, are we so proud that we won't take support from, Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, all of the line, that we're in a family. You know, there's a whole family here that we are part of. We're connected with Bhakti Vinod Thakur, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati.
An electric splitter or a cord so I can plug in.
Sridhar Swami, did you know that Acyutananda Prabhu met Bhakti Pragya Keshava Maharaj in person?
Yes, you had already told me today. I was listening to your audio. Very interesting. Fascinating. You're very blessed, Acyutananda Prabhu, for many, many reasons. I appreciate that. You ran away.
I had that great, I didn't know, Prabhupada knew, I knew Prabhupada had his second or could be third heart attack. And he wanted to, if he had to, he would pass away in Vrindavan. And we had just joined, just been initiated. So I said, I'm going with the Swami. I'm not going to be able to learn Vedic culture from other people who are just as new as me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to India.
But it's interesting how you pick out this idea of the divide with the fall of the jiva issue, so to speak. It's not an issue anywhere else in the world except in ISKCON.
Yes,
there are many other mutts in existence. It's not actually only ISKCON that has the, you know, monopoly on spiritual progress at this point in time with Mahaprabhu. Yeah. Anyway.
They go to South India and they tell this to the Ramanuja pundits, and the Ramanujas say, you're Christians. This is a whole Christian. It is only an ISKCON thing. No one else accepts this. It's so, because I explained it earlier in the Adi Lila chapter 5, Nityananda, you explained it also. There's Balaram and Chaturvyuha, then this Mahashankarshan, who is it's just half a line. And he is the shelter of the living entities. That's the Buddha Jivas. And that's all it says, because it's so obvious that you can't look at, they're not explaining the beauty and opulence of Vaikuntha or Goloka properly. How can you turn away from there? You know, that's your eternal place.
Actually, we could consider how fortunate we are coming from the Tatashta, because this is also like a mental stumbling block. That people don't want to think that they came from that third type of jiva. Why did I come from the Tatashta? Why wasn't I first off manifested in Goloka Vrindavan? Why wasn't I first of all manifested in Vaikuntha? Actually, we have an amazing opportunity. You know, if you were put straight into Vaikuntha, you would not have the opportunity to serve Srimati Radhika. You would not hear about Srimati Radhika. You know, that would be like off limits entirely. But we, in this age, we have everything. I mean, as Tatashta Bada Jivas, we are so incredibly fortunate. We get to meet people, personalities like Prabhupada. We have these types of personalities in our lives. You know, if you're just manifested anywhere else, you don't have. So we should celebrate, not you know, try to minimize that. And it doesn't matter anyway, because the truth is the truth, and this is where we are. We are Tatashta Jivas, and that's the end of the story. So now, as Prabhupada used to say, better we think how to get out of this predicament.
Yes.
Anyway,
that was the further instruction again and again and again. Don't think about it. If you're drowning in the ocean and somebody throws you a lifesaver, you don't ask, how did I get here? You don't ask.
No.
Later you can figure out.
We should be discussing, you know, the beauties of that place, because it's a state of consciousness to be attracted to that place. I think when I came on this thread today, you were all discussing this, Acyutananda. You were speaking about Boma Vrindavan. You were speaking about
that is my curse. That is my curse. That after I finish my spiel, the most important person comes in and late for me. So that is
hijacks you.
That's my disease.
But you know, Tridandi Maharaj made a beautiful point that the beauty of coming from Tatashta is this opportunity to get the mercy of Gaura Nitai, to get the mercy of those coming in the line of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, the six Goswamis, Srila Bhakti Vinod, Bhakti Siddhanta, Srila Prabhupada, and that opportunity for the kind of the highest realizations and association with Srimati Radharani.
Rasa. Yes.
And you know, it's kind of like, you know, the way to frame things is like, you know, what appears to be a reversal is the greatest benefit. Just like the demigods, they want to take birth here on this planet in Kali Yuga because of the opportunity that the mission affords. So, you know, and I so much appreciate this conversation because I've been on the fence about it, just trying to understand it for many years. So I very much appreciate the realization shared today.
I find it amazing that it's such a huge issue. You know, I mean, here we are stuck in this awful, awful place. And we have the luxury of debating where we were originally. I mean, incredible that we would. I mean, just look at the waste of it. I personally consider it such a colossal waste of time. Who cares?
It's
Really,
it's our arrogance, but
unbelievable. I agree, Maharaj. It just demonstrates the arrogance of the jiva that we think that it's so important. First of all, that we could understand. Secondly, that it really is so important for us to know. Meanwhile, we can't chant one round without our minds traveling across the universe, thinking of so many useless things. And we are so fixed on trying to understand the origin of the jiva. What nonsense. The
point is, we can never understand it, Prabhu, because we've never experienced eternality. None of us know what the state of consciousness is in eternality. So ultimately, we cannot really. And it's not about understanding. It's about appreciating. If we try to understand, it's with the mind. If we try to appreciate and serve, it's with the heart.
Maharaj,
that's the place of bhakti.
I would go right to the beginning, right to the basics of Bhagavad Gita. What does the soul, what is the soul? What is consciousness? You know, how does it look? You know, Arjuna was saying, like, when we actually when we get a glimpse of what is the soul and what is the consciousness and what is that realm, then we can begin to maybe understand something. But, you know,
even beyond that, what is the activity of the soul? Just appreciating the soul itself, you know, as a sold out servant of Krishna, but in what capacity are we going to serve Krishna?
Yes.
It's like one step, all right, realizing that I'm not the body, I am the soul. Okay, so what is the soul? So that is Jivara Surabhoi Krishna Nitidas, I'm an eternal servant of Krishna. But what is my activity? My activity ultimately is serving who? Is it serving, Sataparthi on the battlefield of Kurukshetra? That Krishna, or is it Dwarkadish Krishna? Is it Mathuresh Krishna? Who do I want to place my affiliation? Who do I want to place my allegiance in? It's Rajendrananda and Shyam Sundar. This is who Mahaprabhu is giving us. The heart or the reconciliation of everything lies in the teachings of Mahaprabhu. He is the one giving us this gift, this jewel of Bhakti Ras. And this is where we should spend our efforts, trying to appreciate this nature. Who is Rupa Goswami? He's the principal exponent or giver of this. Without Rupa Goswami, we wouldn't even have it. But how much interested are we in these topics? Or are we actually more distracted by the activities of the demons, etc.? So that has to be illuminated and appreciated, that actually we should be trying to put our consciousnesses into this world of Goloka Vrindavan, which is what Mahaprabhu has given us.
By the way, I'm going to change the subject if you don't mind, Maharaj. You're here, and we were discussing about Goloka and how there are no demons in Goloka and how Kaliya is present in Goloka, but I guess Kaliya isn't defined as a demon, correct?
Kaliya was purified with the footprints of Krishna's lotus feet.
But he But there was
Go
a
ahead.
pastime. There was a pastime that took place with Kaliya in Goloka.
You can refresh me on that one.
I'm reading from the Sri Brihad Bhagavatamrita, where
Sanatana Goswami.
Krishna danced on the hoods. Actually, Krishna had a Rasa dance. He danced his Rasa dance on the hood of Kaliya.
Sanatana Goswami, I think, takes a lot of sort of beautiful, poetic license. He also describes how he doesn't really, in Brihad Bhagavatamrita, he doesn't take Krishna out of Vrindavan. You know, in his Vaishnava Toshani, he describes the other chapters of the 10th canto, but in Brihad Bhagavatamrita, Sanatana Goswami just focuses on the Vrindavan pastimes, and he elaborates on that. And I don't know that.
There is the section where Gopakumar is with Uddhava and Narada Muni in Dwarka and Mathura. But let me just say I want to read something here to you. It says, this is a commentary, so this would be Sanatana Goswami's commentary. And the verse says, in that original Mathura, I heard that Kamsa had taken it upon himself to arrest his father and Krishna's parents, Devaki and Vasudeva, and was ruling the kingdom. That's the text. In the commentary, Sanatana Goswami says, Kamsa needed no introduction, especially to a person who had hailed from Mathura city. That's Gopakumar. The Brahmin must at least have read about him in the Puranas and other scriptures. Later in this narration, we will discover how persons like wicked Kamsa, who in the material world had died long ago, could still be active in Sri Goloka.
Have to think about that one.
So,
you know, me, I didn't know how to answer either.
So, you know, like I understand the idea that there's no, demons in Goloka, but here specifically Sanatana Goswami says that.
Well, we know that there's the conception of demons, just like the gopis have conceptions of husbands. They don't actually have husbands. This is why Boma Leela is so attractive. This is why the Naimitika Leela that Krishna performs here is so attractive, because they have real husbands and the demons are real. But in Goloka Vrindavan, it's just a conception to heighten the rasa, the sweetness of their dance and their relationship. All this conceptual support for their pleasure. It's not an actual reality in Goloka Vrindavan itself. But in Boma Vrindavan, then it is a reality. And that is the pleasure that Krishna gets from coming to this from performing his pastimes, his eternal pastimes in the universes. Because because the gopis really have to demonstrate their complete attachment to Krishna by leaving their families, etc. here. But of course, in Goloka Vrindavan, that doesn't happen. You know, it never was a fact.
The interesting element of this pastime in the Brihad Bhagavatamrita regarding Akrura and Kamsa is that it's explained that Lord Krishna ultimately returns to Vrindavan, and then he goes back. And this pastime, Sanatana Goswami explains, is eternally taking place, where when Krishna returns, the devotees are so happy that they actually forget he ever left. And then he leaves again, and they suffer that anguish of his and that highest bliss ultimately of the separation. And then he returns again and they forget that he left. And this keeps going on like eternally.
Yes,
Milan,
just like
Milan and Bipulan, this is the one superiority we have. Sridhar Maharaj explained over the Nimbarka Sampradaya, or Dvaita Dvaita philosophy, is that they don't have the idea of separation. They worship Radha Krishna. They have Dvaita Dvait, which is almost parallel to Veda Ved, but they only see Radha and Krishna always together. They don't
This is a bit
understand
like the Babaji's.
the ecstatic ecstasy of separation, which is even more intense than the Milan.
But the separation has to
I have a question
nourish the meeting.
Yeah, I have a question about even the Brahma Lila. So Krishna kills Kamsa. He establishes Ugrasena as the emperor, but Jarasandha gets to be in charge of Mathura again, another demon.
How is that?
I don't know.
Jarasandha is defeated before Yudhishthira's Rajasuya sacrifice by Bhima. And he's defeated, 17 times in Mathura by Krishna.
Okay, because Krishna returning to Vrindavan is he wants to kill one more demon near Mathura. Okay, Dantavakra. Okay, why is he there? Who's in charge of Mathura after Kamsa is dead?
Ugrasen.
Ugrasen is okay. So Dantavakra. Yeah.
Dantavakra is the brother of Shishupal.
Okay.
Dantavakra is the giant Vijay, like third incarnation, right? So Dantavakra is the final demon that Krishna kills. Exactly correct, as you said. When he comes from that Prabhash pastime where all the family have killed each other, etc., the Yadus, then he, after that, and all the Devas see him return back. In fact, Krishna returns to Vrindavan to take ultimately all the Brijbasis back to Goloka Vrindavan. That's his intention, and to relieve Radharani of her distress. And at that time, on his way back, that's when he kills Dantavakra.
And Dantavakra is in Mathura? In
Mathura, yes, that's how it's described. This has always made me question too. I've always had this question. Where is Dantavakra's sort of... I don't think he's actually in Mathura. I think he's in the region of Mathura.
Oh, okay.
You know, because certainly Ugrasen was given the kingship when, as you said, when Kamsa is defeated, but then he transports all those residents to Dwarka. But I think many residents are left behind in Mathura. I haven't read a description of this, but it must be there because Mathura still exists. Mathura historically has always been like in existence. So when Krishna transfers the residents of Dwarka, it doesn't mean all the residents of Dwarka, because Mathura must keep up its existence. And at that time, Dantavakra is in that vicinity as an enormous disturbing demon. And Krishna, you know, he finally kills him. And as soon as he killed him, then he returns to Vrindavan, then with Balaram, and then he runs to Radharani, and then he stays for some time, it's described. My Gurudev says, you know, a couple of months with the Brijbasis, and then he transports them back to Goloka Vrindavan directly.
And that is when that verse comes that Lord Chaitanya spoke from the Padavali, also when Radharani says, just like before when before you were married, we were lovers together.
Yes.
That's what she says. And that brings up Mahaprabhu.
Yes.
At Ratha Yatra.
Yes. And then Rupa Goswami writes the parallel. Yes.
Writes the verse.
Yes. Hari Hara.
Sridhar Maharaj taught me that whole Leela over 3 days. And all right, I'll say it. You know, ISKCON doesn't know anything about this. They never discuss it. They don't know this part. But this is how Mahaprabhu becomes Rasaraj Mahabhavduyakaru. This is the point of that again meeting after so long. Yeah, we're together now. But I remember when you were first here, when you first bloomed into Kishore.
Yes. Beautiful, Prabhu. Very nice. Very nice, Prabhu.
Sridhar Maharaj taught. Comes from Sridhar Maharaj.
Yes.
Yeah.
So many.
I have to pay you back for giving me Jiva Dharma. I listen to it all. And I keep going back to the Jiva Tattva.
Hey, speaking of Jiva Dharma, how can one access the audio of that?
Oh, you have to be very fortunate and perform austerities for thousands of years.
Oh, please tell me how I can get, please.
You have to stay underwater for 2 years. And
I've been underwater for longer than that.
I can forward it to you. Acyutananda Prabhu sent it to me.
Can you do that?
Yeah.
Can you do it via email? Yeah, do it via email rather than Facebook.
Email.
Prabhu,
And I keep it on my email. Email is my archive.
I have to leave now.
Yes,
I'm very honored to have been with you all. Badr Narayan in particular, if you could send me a link to any explanations you've offered about this situation, I'd be curious to hear what your views are there. And if Gaura permits, then I could come back again another time and be with you. I would be
This
most
Friday, same
honored.
time, same channel. This Friday, or our Friday. 2 days.
Okay, Gaura, you keep me in this loop, and if the devotees allow, I would be honored to sit with you and discuss such a variety of fascinating,
Wow, this was
profound
like
topics.
This was a real spontaneous session. And I had actually studied up a bit. I was listening to Prabhupada talking about the discussion between Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Prakashananda, because that's where we are in the teachings of Lord Chaitanya. But Narayan Prabhu was inspired tonight to discuss.
I hijacked it. Sorry.
Yeah, he hijacked. But it was a very inspiring hijack.
No, I so much appreciate everyone's realizations. I'm deeply grateful for the knowledge shared this and the discussion and the openness of the discussion. Thank you.
But I have to say that Sridhandi Maharaj, you weren't completely accurate when you said everyone is an older senior devotee here. We do have some younger junior devotees, and I'm just concerned with them, whether, for instance, Bhakti Tom from Chicago, whether Nitya Leela from Pakistan, whether Sikarani from Rochester, Bhakti Mark from, is it Regina or Calgary? Yeah, up in that area there. Do they have any questions? Because sometimes Sikarani gives a transcendental complaint that you are speaking such high katha. We need to hear.
But we didn't really even begin. We just touched on the little peripheral. No, genuinely, tonight with you all, we just touched on a very interesting, profound peripheral on the Jiva Tattva and about Goloka Vrindavan and Boma Vrindavan and Dantavakra. But we didn't begin to sort of dig around there very much. We just sort of threw out the hints of it.
Just before you go, you said there's a difference between Bhakti and Bhakti Rasa. Could you just say something about that, please?
Oh, you know this, Gaura, already. That is ancient. Bhakti Rasa Bhakti is the principle of worshipping Krishna more concerned in Vaidhi. This has been the tradition for millions and billions of years prior to the advent of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has brought this conception that, or revealed, Krishna is Lila Purushottam. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Prem Purushottam. He's tasting the Prem. He's opening out the storehouse of Prem that Krishna experienced during his Vrindavan pastimes. The Vrindavan pastimes are very confidential. And just like Queen Kunti in the 8th chapter of the 1st canto, she can't understand Krishna in Vrindavan being tied up by Mother Yashoda. You know, the Mathuravasis cannot conceive. Uddhav himself could not conceive when he's in Uddhav Keri listening to Radharani angry at Krishna, that his supreme personality of Godhead is being called a debauchee, is being called a cheat. He can't comprehend this. Uddhav is a Jnani Bhakta. He sees Krishna just like Bhishma Dev with full Aishwarya. That's how he perceives him. But Mahaprabhu has come to open this storehouse of rasa, of bhakti ras. Anyone could have given bhakti. Chaitanya Advaita Acharya could have also given the same bhakti. But bhakti ras, this had to be, because it's a condition of the heart. I was explaining just before a little bit that the heart is very sensitive, it's very delicate. So to accept these profound topics that my Gurudev used to say many times, your Prabhupada has come to teach you that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And I have come to teach you that he's not.
What?
So this is the distinction. This is the distinction. If we're always, it's like when Uddhav goes to Vrindavan, what happens in that 46th chapter of the 10th canto? He has a spurti. He sees Vrindavan as it was when Krishna was present. All the gopis are singing, the cows are being milked, the sakas are in the pasture grounds, etc. Everything's beautiful and sweet. And then he suddenly sees Krishna stepping out of a doorway. What does Uddhav do? He throws himself on the ground and offers obeisances. They don't offer obeisances in Braj. Then the whole scene folds. And as he gets up, everything is in a mood of devastated separation. So there's such a distinction between Madhurya Ras and Dwarka, the Dwarka pastimes. Huge. This is the most beautiful Katar, really. This is what Mahaprabhu has come to illuminate us on. What is Braja Prem? What is the nature of the love that the Gopi? The nature is that the Brajabasis, they believe that Krishna cannot move without their help, without their support. He can't feed himself without them. They are understanding that Krishna is totally dependent on them. Whereas in Dwarka, they are completely dependent on Krishna as the super soul or the supreme personality of Godhead, etc. It's a total different dynamic. So this is Bhakti Ras. This is what Mahaprabhu has come to gift us if we choose to take it. But we have independence. That's what I said previously. And it's this independence that will make us say, no, we don't want it. I've gone far enough. I can't take the risk.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Prabhupada once said in Vaidhi Bhakti, you offer to Krishna and then he is taken and then you take the remnants. In Laganuga Bhakti, you can take a bite out of the fruit and put it right in Krishna's mouth.
That's it. You got it. You got it.
Here's a good one. Hey, Krishna, here's a good one. I tasted it for you.
Yes. Perfect. All right, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you all so much.
Thanks so much, Sridhar Maharaj, for not being a monitor.
But Narayan, don't forget to send me an email or a text or something. All right, Gaura.
Can you send me Maharaj's contact and please send me his
Gaura knows that. Narahari, such a pleasure to see you. My heart is warm just seeing your face.
I'm sorry for my any offenses that I've committed. I didn't mean to bring the
you don't commit offenses. It's not possible for you. They're not possible. Not possible.
They should hear what you said here.
Like Kaviraj
Goswami said,
we have 100. If you remember my name, you'll fall down.
No. Beautiful.
Yes.
They should hear what you said here because there's 120 acres. They got 2 cows. So maybe you send some cows over here. They should hear your example.
Beautiful.
Oh no, Maharaj. I just wanted to point out, and this is it's becoming quite an amazing sangha or meeting of great devotees, and I very much appreciated today, Maharaj, you coming into it and illuminating us. And
it was only because of Gaura. It was touch and go. Gaura I was just about to pick up the incense to do my morning puja, and then he got in my ear and told me not to be a miser. I thought, what sort of, anyway, he pricked me and made me, but I'm so honored, really deeply. I hope I can come again and meet with you all.
Please
very
do.
Inspiring, most inspiring.
I'd like a way to contact you and maintain contact with you.
Gaura give you my WhatsApp details.
I have his WhatsApp.
Okay. Yes, perfect.
All right, Prabhu.
So much,
let me go.
Thank you.
Dhanyavad. Hare Krishna.
2 days from now, Maharaj. 2 days from now. 2 days from now. Same time, same place, same channel. 2 days.
We'll try for it. We'll try. Okay. All right, Prabhu. Dhanyavad. Hare Krishna. Haribol. Acyutananda Prabhu ki jai.
Hi ho.
So Nitya Leela has asked, what is the difference between Nitya Leela and Nitya Leela Prakash? Acyutananda Prabhu, can you comment on that?
Well, it may mean the manifested in our Boma Leela here and the Nitya Leela in Vaikuntha. One is higher. Brahma Samhita says one, they are non-different. One is higher, this one is lower. This one is manifested here in this material world. And Maharaj gave this great point that being Tatastha Shakti, we get to see that. We get to see this manifestation. So it is manifested here in the on the material platform, but it is not material.
Prakash. Yeah.
Manifest. Similarly, there are some things that are manifested here that make the Boma Leela even more intense. Like there's real demons and real Kamsa and real Rakshasas and real Bakasura and all those demons. They don't exist there. There's real husbands and real. See, in Goloka, there are 4 things that don't manifest. There's no husbands. There's no demons. There are no sadhus. And baby Krishna doesn't appear. Krishna is eternally 16 years old in Vaikuntha Parabhyam Goloka, unmanifest to us. Here, he manifests his whole baby pastimes.
Yes.
In Goloka, it's only a sentiment that we remember when he was a baby. But he never manifests himself. But here he manifests. And also when there's separation, when Krishna leave, that I was going to say, the borderline of Goloka and Vaikuntha in the Praka is the Jamuna.
Oh.
So the birth, Krishna is simultaneously born as Vishnu in Mathura to Devaki, and also simultaneously is born with his twin sister to Yasoda in Vrindavan. The Karasa in the Boma Leela, Krishna has to have some Vishnu power in him to kill the demons, because baby Krishna, let's say when he's on Vyomasura, when he's Trinavarta, he's just having fun being taken up in the air, and he's going, yay, like that. But the Vishnu power in him kills Trinavarta. Then he falls down, he comes down, he's lying on the top of Trinavarta demon, and he goes, hell, get me down from here.
Right.
And the cowherd men get ladders and ropes and they climb up to get him. So one time he's all powerful, and then he can be a baby again. And those are things that are manifested here.
Mugda, that covers him. It reminds me, Achyuta Prabhu, that like the gopis, when Akrura says they must come, the parents are in danger, and they say, no, we saw him take birth. What are you talking about? We saw him when Krishna was born here. His parents are Jashoda Maiya and Nanda Baba.
They know all of Krishna's. They hear from Pandits. I was hearing from, also there's Govinda Lilamrita audio, that every morning there are speakers at breakfast time that come out and describe different avatars and tattva. And in the evening also there's a big show in Nanda's palace. And there's a whole show with acrobats, and also speakers will come and say poetry and describe Ram Leela and Varaha Leela.
Wow.
They don't know it's him,
Right.
Sometimes the gopis will say, oh, we heard about you. You shot Bali in the back. You're a cheater.
That's right.
So these things are all going. So we it's not that the Sahajiyas only want to hear gopi, gopi, gopi. Leela. The gopis know all the tattvas and the Vedas. Every day Radharani has to go and do Surya Puja, worship the sun god. You see. They worship Katyayani. They worship Katyayani, Mahamayi, Mahayogini, Yadeshwara, Nanda Gopa Sute Devi, Pating me Kurate Nama. Now even Narayan Maharaj even made it Upapati. I want Pati. Pati means husband. Upapati means boyfriends. Unmarried.
Right.
An extra taste in there. So there. Boy, the Mayavadis go crazy with that. Oh, they're worshiping Kali. You have no idea.
Like Maharaj used to say in the Bimohan, Brahma Bimohan, when he steals the cow boat, that Krishna, and that time, all the girls get engaged to actually Krishna because he's expanded into all those, all the cowherd boys.
Everybody getting this? So Brahma hides the cows and cowherd boys in a cave, and Krishna immediately manifests so that nobody missed them. He manifests himself as all the cowherd boys and the cows. And even their parents, they say, boy, I feel love for that cow the way I used to look at Krishna, because it was Krishna. And that was the year that the little gopis get betrothed. So really they're married to Krishna.
Yeah.
But they don't know that. So because the whole story of this is told after a year.
Wow. Yeah.
That's one the year that they were in hiding. So this is told after a year. Stuff.
Mark Prabhu, Mark, thank you for coming back. Mark, do you have any questions from this evening? Are you okay with everything?
Yes, it was very nice. Thank you for having me on. It's very
you play the guitar?
Yeah, well, it's a conversation, and
I
just pleased to be here and hear you guys. So thank you for the invite, Gaura, and your service to keep us all connected and keep this lifeline to Prabhupada going. And no, I'm just thrilled to hear from old school devotees talking about Krishna book and the Leela pastimes, and a little bit touching on. I feel like one question I might have is like this kind of situation that's manifested in the world today. Could we compare it to a type of modern day Kurukshetra in the way that the division is happening? And that would be my question. So thank you.
Jai. Acyutananda Prabhu?
This is the most insane time I have ever seen in my life. I've seen people complaining that, oh, it was terrible, World War I, and many people and artists committed suicide. Debussy really, they think he committed suicide after he saw the devastation of Europe after World War I. Then Depression, of people standing in line for an apple, and then World War II, and then things got better. But now it's a devastation of the mind, because for about the last 20 or more years, even little children have been raised on drugs, Ritalin, and so on. They don't have a brain in their head, and now they want to teach them that Black people should hate white people, and a man can be a woman, and a woman can be a man if he just thinks so.
Yeah.
And I've seen these reports, and I write in, to know your true self, read Bhagavad Gita chapter 2. And I get some thank yous for that. But they, well, that's who I really am. They're even forcing children, a boy, to become a girl. You feel like a girl? Yeah, I don't know. Okay, we'll give you pills. We'll give you hormones. We'll change you. We'll put your lipstick on.
So
I've never seen this. And now they're even teaching the military. They're teaching the military that all white people are racist. They're teaching, they want to abolish the police. So crime right now today is rampant in the city streets going on. So this is, the Battle of Kurukshetra was all according to some dharma of the rules. But this is madness. I've never seen such ridiculous thing of people with common sense. There was a big rally in a school. The parents came to a school board and they said, stop this, we're not sending our children to you. I've never seen such madness.
Yeah.
And it comes also originally, I'll say, it comes out of evolution and Darwin, that anything new must be better. Must be an improvement. It must be going better.
Acyutananda Prabhu, we have with us our godbrother for the first time tonight. He remembers you from way back, Jai Madhava Prabhu. He's here with us all the way from Siberia, Russia. Jai Madhava, please unmute. Okay, good. He's unmuted. Do you remember? Where do you know Acyutananda from, Jai Madhava? Your mic's not on. Your mic is not on. Your microphone is not on. You're unmuted. We can't hear you though.
Join with audio, it'll say. Maybe that's the part.
Join with audio. We see your lips moving, but we can't hear you.
Oh.
He's accepting to be silenced. I'm sorry. I wish you could have found the volume.
Also check microphone volume.
Check the microphone volume.
You hear me?
Yeah, we're starting to. Yeah.
You hear me now?
No, that's a 12-bar blues.
Siberia.
That's a 12-bar blues. Baby Elephant Walk is a 12-bar blues.
Siberia is a long way away. Maybe that's why we can't hear you.
Maybe that's it. Speak louder. We're asking everyone in the world to be very quiet. Maybe we can hear.
Oh, we can't hear Jai Madhava. It's unfortunate.
Siberia. Wow, how did you get there?
Jai Madhava, why can't we hear you? What's up? You're unmuted.
How do you know he's hearing you?
Can you hear me, Jai Madhava?
We won't know.
Yeah, he's nodding yes.
Okay, I don't see a picture.
Maybe volume is not on. I mean, volume on speaker is not intact, maybe.
If you look in the bottom left corner on my screen, it says mute, but I'm unmuted.
Right.
I think you may be muted. Bottom left corner of your screen. Does it say, are you muted?
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Hari Bol.
Yay.
My most humble obeisances and all glories to Srila Prabhupada.
How did you end up in Siberia? Acyutananda is asking, how did you end up there?
Well, the last time I saw Acyutananda Prabhu was in LA, and he was living in the ashram. It was way, way back. I don't know when.
70s?
75.
It was early 80s, and I think he made some kind of funny joke because I'm Japanese American.
Me? No.
Yes, you did. Right to my face. I remember. It's okay. I don't take offense.
What was the joke?
Something about Pearl Harbor, I think. I don't know. I can't remember.
Well,
all I know is you made it. No, it was okay. I wasn't offended. I get it all the time. You know, after I took initiation from Srila Prabhupada, I got the name Jaya Madhava, and my godbrothers called me Japanese Madhava. So I just took it with it.
How did you get to Siberia?
Oh, that's a long story. Way back in the mid 90s, I was living in Seattle for 10 years, and a Russian devotee passed through and stayed in my apartment because I lived in Seattle for 10 years, from 1990 to 1999. And although I was older, I still felt I should get married. And he had suggested, why don't you marry a Russian girl? And he gave me a lot of contacts. And after 1 year of contacting, I flew on a plane to Moscow and I met my future wife. Then I came back to Russia and I've never left. I've been here for 20 years. I am applying for Russian citizenship at the present moment. I'm going to be a Russian citizen.
Who was the first devotee you met, and what year was that?
I met. Oh, you mean how I became a devotee?
Yeah.
Well, see, I was a teenager. I was 17 years old when I first met Prabhupada's disciples, and this was in Philadelphia, because back in the early 70s, Prabhupada's disciples used to go out on Harinam every day, and not for an hour or two, but for 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 hours. And that was the main deal. They would go out the whole temple, brahmacharis, householders, baby carriages, and they would stand on the street corner for 7 or 8 hours. I think you remember those days. So that's
Yeah.
when I met the devotees, and they did Harinam all the time. And
I would go to Westwood.
Mm.
and I met them. I started reading Prabhupada's books, and in 1974, I met Srila Prabhupada at the Brooklyn, at the Henry Street Temple. First, I went to the airport to greet him with the devotees, and then I stayed at the Henry Street Temple. Gopi Janavalabha was the temple president at that time, and it was 1974. And I'll never forget, I'm sitting in the room with Srila in the temple room, and Prabhupada's coming and the greet Radha Govinda. And I can't, there's some things you can't say about Srila Prabhupada when you're standing next to him, because, I felt embarrassed to be in front of Srila Prabhupada because I could see what his greatness was. And this is when I was Bhakti Michael. And Prabhupada gave a Srimad Bhagavatam class, and I thought the Brooklyn Temple was interesting because I never saw a temple with an air conditioner. So it was packed with devotees, and they had air conditioning in the room. And then after Prabhupada's lecture, Prabhupada went out the front door of the Henry Street Temple, and all the devotees were throwing flower petals at his feet from the upstairs and from downstairs, because the Henry Street Temple, it was like in an Italian neighborhood, and they had all the windows open. So they had the windows open when Prabhupada was going to the car. So I was still a hippie then. And I was surrounded by Prabhupada's disciples, all dressed in dhotis and women in saris. And I was thinking really seriously, I hope Srila Prabhupada doesn't look at me, because I feel in front of his greatness, I felt like dirt, okay? So as Prabhupada's getting in the back seat of his car, guess what happens? Exactly what happens, what I didn't want to happen. Srila Prabhupada turns around and looks at me right in the eyes. And I was like, whoa. What I got at that moment was, even though he didn't speak to me, I immediately knew, oh my God, he knows I'm here. Amongst all these hundreds of devotees, he specifically turned around and looked right at me. It hit me like a lightning bolt. And I had many experiences with Srila Prabhupada like that. I'll give you one other example. When Prabhupada came to Philadelphia for July Rath Yatra, I was just ready to move into the temple. So I was there to hear his lecture. I went to the airport to see Srila Prabhupada, but I was staying at my mother's house in Northeast Philadelphia. And I went to see Srila Prabhupada's initiation ceremony and lecture. And then I went home, and Srila Prabhupada came to me in a dream. And in the dream, I'm sitting on the steps of the Woodlawn Street Temple in Germantown. And Prabhupada's coming up the path, right up to me, puts his hand on my head, looks me right in the eyes, and he says, "What do you want, women or Krishna?" And I woke up, and I thought, oh my God, he nailed me in just a few words. Prabhupada could just with a few words, Prabhupada could say everything. And he had my number. And I went right to the temple, and I told Prabhupada's disciples, and they said, absolutely, Prabhupada came to you and he spoke to you. And he's come to me in different times here while I've been in Russia too. He's come to me in various dreams. So, although I never personally spoke to Prabhupada, I was with him in his lectures. He gave me prasadam, and I always feel protected by him all these years, even though what we've all been through, which, hasn't been terribly pleasant, what we've seen happen. But I really appreciate the association of these our view devotees. And
is there any difficulty being a devotee in Siberia?
I'm the only Prabhupada disciple living in Russia. I'm the only. Oh, there was one godbrother, Ananta Shanti, who had been initiated by Prabhupada, but he had went away for a while. And when I came to Russia in 2000, I specifically went looking for him, because this is what I do. I don't know what other godbrothers do, but when I found out my godbrothers are outside or having problems, I specifically look for them to actually show them friendship and kindness, because in my opinion, too many Prabhupada disciples have been forgotten. And
Yeah.
even and I went looking for Ananta Shanti, and eventually he agreed to meet me. He came to my apartment in Moscow, and I gave him prasadam, and we became friends.
Nice.
So I very much value, as fallen as I am, I very much value this opportunity to have association with the devotees. And I thank you very much from the bottom of my heart.
Jai.
Thank you so much.
Jai Dandavad. Hare Krishna.
Devotees are so rare. And you know, I think one problem with devotees is they become too familiar with each other, especially on Facebook. And it's very dangerous, you know, because when I joined, when I was a brahmachari, you couldn't go 5 feet in the temple without somebody coming up to you and go, "Oh, Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances." Head to the floor, boom. You would do it 5, 6, 7, 8 times a day on a normal basis. Now the devotees, they come up to you and they pat you on the back and go, "Hari Bol," and that's it. I mean, there's a lot of things that Prabhupada taught us that have been abandoned.
Yeah.
And I'm very much, I'm very vocal about this. All these little things that Prabhupada trained us in are not insignificant. They're all pieces of the puzzle of how to remain humble and how to understand how to serve the devotees. And a lot of the stuff's been kind of like, you know, forgotten. I'm sorry to say.
We have with us tonight God's sister, I believe, Madhumati, although I cannot see her, there's no camera, but it says that she's present. And I don't know if she will unmute herself.
I'm here.
Oh, Jai.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, will you give us your darshan?
Oh, no.
Yes, unmanifest.
Yes, unmanifest, yes.
Akash Vani.
We don't have enough pious credits for your darshan.
I think it's very much the other way around.
You joined in Seattle, I think, didn't you?
No, Vancouver.
Vancouver, okay. That was
in 74.
74. And you remember Acyutananda Prabhu?
No. No.
You don't remember Acyutananda?
Well, not from there. I mean, I remember Acyutananda, but not from there.
No, that's what I meant.
wasn't there.
No, I didn't think so. No, of course I remember.
Of course you do.
No, I was never in Vancouver.
No, I would have known something about that. Hare Krishna.
Well, thank you for coming tonight. Usually we've tried to finish by 9:30, 10 at the latest. So that was about 20 minutes ago. So I hope everyone will come back on Friday. We can try to continue from the discussion of Prakashananda and Lord Chaitanya. Any closing words from anybody? Bhavatarini, are you satisfied?
Oh, of course.
I didn't mean to cut you off. Huh? Sorry.
Mara just brought tears to our eyes.
Me too. Yeah.
And really.
I've been for the last few months. I found, and local guru found how to get the Jaiva Dharma. So I've been listening to his voice. Now I hear the same voice in the face for the first time. It was
I met him some years. Yeah, we met him many years back. He's really phenomenal, authentic devotee. And yes, he has other tapes that are fantastic.
Yeah, he does.
So I have to go right now. I have to take care of some plumber here. But
so why
my
don't we
apologies.
say Vanchakalpa Trubius? Huh? Sorry. Vanchakalpa Trubius Namo Namaha. See you everyone on Friday. That's 2 days from now. Same time, same channel. Srila Prabhupada ki
tomorrow is tomorrow is Pumundi. Tomorrow is Pumundi.
Pumundi. Haribol.
Jai, all goes to Srila Prabhupada.
Thank you, everybody.
Gaura Premanandi, Hari Bo.